Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullsht. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So today we're going to talk about the difference between being busy and productive, because they are almost polar opposites. So, giving you a little bit of a backstory. I grew up in a house where if I ever told my mother that I was bored, there was a list of chores to do almost instantaneously. It was like she had them like waiting for us to be bored during the summer. And so we learned very quickly to not say that we were ever bored because we didn't want to do all of the chores, right? And that started to shape much of my young adulthood into adulthood, I guess. And I would struggle to sit. I always felt like there was something that had to be done, right? There was always a floor that needed to be vacuumed, or windows that needed to be washed, or laundry to be put away, or like all of these other things. There was always something to do. And a few years ago, maybe several years ago now, I decided that that was a crazy train. I wanted no part of that anymore, and actually came up with the phrase, there is always something to do, but there is not always something that needs to be done. And I quit being busy and started to be productive. And so what does that look like? So busy is that you're just doing something for the sake of doing something. Productive is that you're doing something with an end goal in mind, right? So for me, being productive to me means if I have a list of things to do during a day, I usually get it done in the first 2 hours of the day, and then I have the rest of my day to myself, where I can be busy if I want to, where I can just kind of meander around the house and do stuff, right? So what does this actually look like maybe in your life? So the way that I talk to clients about this is I'll say, okay, busy is not having any boundaries around your time. You don't really care how long a task takes because you don't have anything planned that day, right? Like there are days where we don't have soccer or school or anything, right? And there'll be days where I don't have a parameter around the time that something needs to be done. And I'll just kind of mosey through my garden and do some stuff there, or walk through the house and casually pick up. But there's no boundaries around my time. When I'm being productive, there are boundaries around my time because I'm sitting down to complete a set task, and I'll do it for an hour, maybe two, right? When I was writing my dissertation, it was about being productive and not busy during that process because my babies were young. I had just had a newborn when I started writing my dissertation process, or just had a baby who was a newborn. Let's rephrase that. And so I didn't have a plethora of time. And so I had to be productive in those blocks of time that the babies were napping. And so that required, I would sit down and say, okay, here's what I'm working on today. Boom, that is productive. Busy is just doing it because you don't know what else to do with yourself, right? There's no end goal in mind. You're just moseying, I guess is the best way to do that, right? And this happens a lot when we don't have those boundaries around time is the easiest way to do it. So like I said, on days that we don't have something planned and there isn't a set time that I want to be done working or anything like that, that is where I can just be busy, just doing things for the sake of doing things with no end goal in mind. But that can get exhausting. Being busy is exhausting because this is those days where you don't have a time frame in mind. You're just going to clean the house, right? Like maybe it's Saturday morning. Kids don't have any sports, and you're like, you know what? We're going to clean the house. And then you're like, well, while I'm cleaning the house, I'm going to do the laundry too. And so you start in the laundry room and you're cleaning, and you're folding laundry, and then you go to put it away in one of your kids' rooms, and then you realize that they need their bed sheets changed, and so you change their sheets, and then you're tidying up their room, and then you pull out the vacuum, and then you find cups in their bedroom, and you head to the kitchen, and you're cleaning the kitchen, and then you hear the buzzer on the dryer, and so you go back into the laundry room, you're back in the dryer, and by, let's say you start this at 10 a.m., and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you have been in every room in the house, you have started a million projects and have completed none. That is the definition of busy, where you have not actually been productive because you haven't finished anything. You haven't made any headway on any of those things. You've just done a little bit of all of the things, right? It is like opening 14 different browsers on your computer and trying to multitask. Multitasking is not a thing. It's not a superpower. You can't actually do it because you're always doing one task better than the other. And so I have trained myself, even on the days where I don't have anything to do, right? Quote unquote, there's no time limit there. I'll say, you know what? I'm going to spend a couple hours just picking up the house. And then when that couple of hours is up, that's it. I'm not picking up the house anymore. I definitely do this. There's way more structure in my time during the week, especially when the kids are in school, because there are a lot of things that I get done during the week that I will not do on the weekends when they're home. Because when they're home, I want to just be with them. When they're home after school, I want to just be with them, and we've got dinner, we've got soccer, now it's in full swing, right? And so my productivity has to be really good throughout the day so that I can just be present and there with them in the afternoon and not feeling like I'm having to work or do whatever, right? So there is 100% a difference here between being busy and productive. And let me just tell you, if you are busy, that's actually interrupting your relaxation and it's increasing your stress. Yes. So if you are somebody who struggles to just sit and be present or sit with your kids, have a conversation, right? Like whatever it is. I remember when my kids were younger and I would struggle with this, and I would sit down to play with them, and then I would see the mountain of things that were happening behind me. And it was like I couldn't actually be present with them because I was thinking about the million of other things that I could possibly be doing at that time. And I was robbing my children of my presence. And so I had to train myself to say, okay, hey, like even when my kids were home and they weren't napping, I would set aside time in the afternoon. Typically, like we'd go out and do something in the morning, and then around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which was their nap time initially when they were younger, I would say, okay, mommy needs some time alone, go play, go entertain yourselves. And then I would spend those couple of hours being super productive because I was allowed to be present with them the rest of the day. I would spend a couple hours being really productive and then go back into mom mode and be able to be present. Because the truth is, and there's a lot of books about this, right? There's the 4-Hour Work Week, where he talks about the amount of time that you give a task is the amount of time that task will take. And so if I were to say to you, or if I were your girlfriend and I called you and I said, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, do you mind if I'm on your side of the town, can I stop by in about 20 minutes and catch up with you, right? In those 20 minutes, I guarantee you're going to be able to pick up the house pretty quickly if that's important to you, right? You might be shoving things into closets, but in 20 minutes, you're going to be incredibly productive because that's what you're focused on, right? And so if you give yourself an hour to do something, if you give yourself all day to do something, guess what? That task is going to take all day. If you give yourself 40 hours a week to complete something, it's going to take you 40 hours. Because when you give yourself these boundaries around time, you actually open up more of your day to be present and to do the other things that you want to do. Now, I love being productive, and those are things that I want to do. However, I don't always want to sit in front of my computer waiting for an email to come through. And so I have times throughout the day where I'm working for a couple hours and then I go read a book. I have lunch. I do whatever, right? Hang out with my kids when they're home for the summer. I try to get as much done in the first couple of hours before they're actually fully functioning children, because they wake up and they're sleepy and they're like, this is what we're doing right now, right? And so I can get a lot done in the first couple of hours in the day, and then I can check back in the afternoon if there's more stuff for me to do. That allows me to be incredibly productive and still be a present mom. And that, to me, is beautiful. So, if you are finding yourself busy, I do recommend that you start to put some boundaries around your time. Give your tasks a certain time limit. One thing that I love to do is, especially during the summer when I'm watering my garden, I'll turn the sprinkler on for 20 minutes. And I make it a game, and I see how much I can get done in the 20 minutes until I have to move the sprinkler to the next section, right? It's silly, but it's entertaining to me because I'm like, oh, shoot, that only took me 20 minutes. Or when I'm making my sourdough bread, one of the first phases is 30 minutes in the oven. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see what I can get done in 30 minutes. It is amazing the amount of things that you can do in a short period of time when you're focused on it. So, if you are looking to be more productive and less busy, start to put some boundaries on your time. The best way to do this is, one, to get aware of where your time is being spent. Because I bet a lot of those things can be done way faster if that's the only thing that you're doing. Multitasking is not a thing. You can't actually do that, right? So create awareness around it, okay? And then two, you can start to decide, like what days you're doing things. That's something that I do, so that I'm not constantly pulled out of different types of energy. So all of my meetings typically are on Wednesdays. I do creative stuff on Tuesday, thus the podcast. Some of my content, right, do it on Tuesday, just works for me. By Friday, I really have nothing on my schedule. Maybe it's catching up with a couple of things here and there, right? But that is a system that works for me. And so I've used that for years and years. It's been modified and tweaked as the kids have gotten older and whatever else is needed from me. But that has been really paramount, because if you don't set aside the time for something, that time's going to go somewhere else. It just is. It's the nature of it. So I hope this helped. If you loved this video, I would love if you would like, subscribe, share it, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. Definitely love to see people share it if it meant something to them, but also would love if you would like or subscribe it. Let me know what your takeaways were. You can follow me on Instagram at Stephanie Snyder, Ph.D. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.